What is up, guys? Jake from OneHive here with the next CWL Clash of Clans stock report. I'm going to go through all of the invite clans, give you my thoughts on them, whether they're a buy, sell, or hold, how they're performing, what their last few wars shaped up to be, because we did not do one last week. So sort of a 2-week catch-up here, but let's get right into it. First of all, Dark Looters, gotta say their stock is up, moved to 4-1 after that tie loss in week number 1 to Warwells. They have looked strong ever since. No surprise there. Stringing together a couple more wins against the Lost and against Elite Gaming. So good job to Dark Looters. Keep it up, and they are definitely their stock continuing to rise. Guantanamo Bay, man, one that I would sell right now. Moving to 3-2, so not a bad record, but it's just like they're not winning those wars that they've got to win to be in that top tier, that top category, and really in contention. Taking a loss in week 4 against Faked Wargasm. Close war, don't get me wrong, close war, 109 to 110, and then grabbing a win this last weekend against Power COC. But again, a close war, 113 to 112 in that one. So I'm just saying it's a sell because I guess I had more faith in them. I thought they were going to be doing better than they are. Still a good clan, still could turn it around, but right now for me it's a sell. Next, going to Power COC, another clan I'm willing to sell at this point. 2-3 on the season, getting a win in week 4 against Siomi Kotkat. Very strange score. I'm not sure what the breakdown was on that war, 140 to 137, and then losing last week to Guantanamo Bay. Like we just talked about, 112 to 113, so a close war. But at this point, 2-3, I'm willing to sell them off because it's just they're not putting together the wins that they need to really make that stock move up. Elite Gaming, man, this is one I hate to say, but I'm going to sell these guys as well. Also 2-3 on the season, and did grab a win against Cold September in week 4. But hey, I mean, that's a win that they should get. Cold September obviously continuing to struggle. We'll talk more about them later. But then losing to Dark Looters, 108-112 in week 5. Another clan that just can't quite grab those wins against sort of that mid to upper tier of the CWL Invite League. So selling off Elite Gaming as well. Siomi Kotkat. This one might surprise some people. I'm going to put them at a hold. I'm not going to buy them just yet, but I can promise you I'm eyeing them for a buy. Moving to 3-2 on the season. They did lose to Power COC in week 4, 137 to 140. I was gone that week, so not sure what that war was all about. But they grabbed a win last week versus Cold September. But as I just said, it is a clan that most people would expect to get the win over right now. And so I'm not ready to buy just yet, but keeping an eye on Siomi Kotkat. They are starting to turn it on a little bit here mid-season. Faked Wargasm. This is definitely a buy for me. These guys are doing really, really good. Stringing together a couple wins, moving to 4-1 on the season, getting that win over Guantanamo Bay in week 4 by 1 star, and getting the win over the Lost last week by 1 star, 113 to 112. So it's a tentative, sort of a cautious buy, but I am buying them. How can you not? 4-1. They're looking strong and doing what it takes to get the win. So good job to those guys. Next, we have the Lost coming into the season to replace Beast Mode. They've had a couple of wars and a couple of tough wars, and because of that, I'm not willing to sell the Lost just yet. It's a hold for me. See how they do. I mean, they came in versus Dark Looters, the defending champions, and played them within 4 stars, and then last week against Faked Wargasm, just took the 1-star loss there, 112 to 113. So I'm keeping my eye on these guys. I think they could get their feet under them. They could get acclimated and a little bit more comfortable and start stringing together some wins here mid to late season. So that's what I'm hoping for. Cold September, obviously, guys, this is a big sell. Probably one of the ones selling off the most here. Couple game losing streak, couple war losing streak here. They're now at 1-4 on the season. They lost to Elite Gaming in week 4, pretty big, 104 to 115, and then a loss last weekend to Siomi Kotkat, 112 to 114. So definitely a sell for Cold September. The struggles continue for them. Hopefully they can pull it together for a late season rally, but they're going to have to really get their feet underneath them because it just seems like the losses are piling up quickly. Moving on to PWC, 3-2 on the season, sort of splitting here in the last couple of weeks. A loss versus Kantia, 110 to 112, and then a win versus Annihilate, 112 to 106. So I'm leaving them at a hold. Just one of those clans that seem like they're either on or off. They're not really stringing together a lot of wins or anything, but they're not taking a lot of losses either. So for me, they're a hold right now. Six Schlitzes moving to 3-2 on the season. Sort of the same situation as PWC for me. They just can't seem to string it together and get hot. They'll take a win, they'll take a loss. Week 4, taking a loss to Mariana Trench, 111 to 115, and then a win last weekend versus Elite Gaming. Emphatic Elite. 113 to 110. So 3-2. I'm going to leave them at a hold, but obviously next week is going to be a crucial week for them to try to get something going. Emphatic Elite, gonna sell these guys. They 2-game skid. They started off so strong, 3-0, and then 2 losses in a row. So you got to say their stock is crashing here on them. 3-2 on the season. A loss to OneHive in week 4, 104 to 109, and a loss to 6 Schlitzes last weekend, 110 to 113. So hopefully, Emphatic Elite can right the ship and get some wins back under their belt, because things are starting to look a little shaky there mid-season for them. Then Annihilate, again, another clan you've got to sell if you're holding it. Get rid of it. 1-4 on the season. They did get a win, but it was against Midwinters in week 4, 111, 108. And then last weekend, a loss to PWC, 106 to 112. So we're going to be dumping those guys. OneHive, moving up in the world a little bit. I think it's a buy right now. 4-1, obviously that terrible week 3 against Dark Looter Z. Bad performance, but ever since then, been looking strong. A win over Emphatic Elite in week 4, 109 to 104, and a win last weekend over Midwinters, 114 to 111. So I think OneHive gathered themselves up from that loss to Dark Looter Z and has been doing well ever since. So it's a buy for me. Next, Mariana Trench, and man, this is a sell and a sad sell for me. 1-4 on the season now, and it's just they just can't get it together. I expected so much more from Mariana Trench this season, and I don't know what the internal struggles is, or if it's just sort of something's not firing, not working right. They picked up a win against 6 Schlitzes in week 4, 115 to 111, but then turned right around, got another loss to Cancha in week 5, 107 to 110. So I am selling what I've got of Mariana Trench. Then we got Cancha, which I think is a definite buy. These guys have stringed together a couple of wins here, winning in week 4 against PWC, 112 to 110, and winning last weekend against Mariana Trench, 110 to 107. So moving to 3-2 on the season, I don't think there's any question that Cancha is a good pickup right now. Keep it up, guys. Then on to Midwinters, a 1-4 clan again, got to be a sell. Couple of losses in a row, 1 to Annihilate in week 4, 108 to 111, and then a loss to OneHive this last weekend, 111 to 114. So I think you got to sell Midwinters, not doing so great here coming into the midseason. Warwells, obviously 5-0 on the season, more wins under their belt. Now, some close calls. We'll talk about that in a moment, but I still think it's a buy. I still think they're one that a lot of people are probably picking for a favorite to go all the way this season. We shall see. Little chink in the armor possibly in week 5, but in week 4 against 2.0, an easy victory, 113 to 108. But buy forever, took them to the wire. Saw the end of that war on stream. It was insane. And it was so close, 113-113, getting the win in a tiebreaker percentage. So Warwells are human. They can be beaten. Buy forever proved that. We'll see how they do coming off that close call in week 6. North Remembers 0-5. I think one of the only 0-5, if not the only 0-5 team in the season, in the league. So really obvious that this is a big sell here. Just cannot seem to put anything together. Loss versus... who is that? Sorry, I messed up my writing there. Can't read it. A loss in week 4, 110, 114. So decent star loss there. And then Immoral Thieves beating them this last weekend, 99 to 116. Have no idea what went on there. But obviously the struggle is real right now in North Remembers. They've got to get it together quick. Immoral Thieves, I think it's a buy. I sold them off last time I did this video, but I'm buying them right back. Stringing together 2 wins, moving to 4-1 on the season. A win over Spartan's Legacy. That was a massive win for them. Until that war, I think that Spartan's Legacy was probably on everyone's short list for going all the way this season. And they put them on them pretty good, and then turned around and beat North Remembers badly, 116 to 99, as we just spoke about. So Immoral Thieves are back on the horse, going strong, and getting a couple wins there. Definitely buy them up. Buy forever. Man, this is a strange one here. I'm going to leave them at a hold because they did take a loss last weekend. Before that, they picked up a win in week 4 against Bada Bing Clan, 110 to 109. It was a close one, but then losing that war to Warwells, 113-113. I was tempted to even mark them as a buy. But how can you buy a clan that right now sits at 2-3? They got to string a few wins together for me to get interested in picking them up. But man, impressive performance nonetheless against Warwells. Spartan's Legacy. Honestly, this came out of nowhere for me. I mean, what happened to Spartan's Legacy? Moving to 3-2 on the season, they were 3-0. Have lost 2 in a row, as we talked about earlier in week 4 to Immoral Thieves 109-113, and then last weekend to the Bada Bing Clan 108-110. So something is not working right at Spartan's Legacy. Again, they were easily in my top 3 before week 4, and now obviously a big sell for me, maybe one of the biggest drops across the league in my book right now. So hopefully they'll get it together, recover, straighten everything up, and get back on the winning track. Killer Bunnies, they're a hold right now, 2-3, not a great record. They have picked up a couple wins in a row, so I'm not sold yet. I don't want to buy them up just yet, but I am impressed with the last few weeks. The reason I'm not buying them is just because of the competition that they did play. Obviously, North remembers, we've talked about them, their struggles, 114-110 in week 4, and then 2.0 again, not at the top of their game either, getting the win there. So even though they strung together a couple wins, just not the most impressive ones, I want to see something more from them before I put them at a buy rating. Then speaking of OneHive 2.0, gonna have to say it's a sell for them. A couple of war losing streak here, moving to 1-4 on the season. They lost to Warwells in week 4, 108-113, and lost to Killer Bunnies last weekend. Obviously, we just talked about that, 111-114. So it's a sell for 2.0. Hope they get it together soon. Bada Bing Clan, I'm going to leave them at a hold. Their record's not bad. It's 3-2, but that loss to Buy Forever in week 4, 109-110 is what's keeping me tentative. Don't want to just put the buy symbol out just yet, but they did win a big win against Spartan's Legacy last weekend, 110-108. So that's an impressive one for them. If they can string together another win or two, I will definitely be moving them to the buy category. The Swarm, one of the other 5-0 clans on the season. How can you not buy them? Buy them all day long. With the win against the Moral Thieves. I'm sorry, Tactical Inc. What is wrong with me today? Sorry. Week 4 win against Tactical Inc. 111-109. And then a win from Reddit Alchemy, who forfeited in week 5. So the Swarm unbeaten still. Definitely a strong pickup there. War and Glory, got to be a sell, man. I hate to do it. I like War and Glory. Of course, Adam streams them, and I do enjoy watching them and cheering for them. But at 2-3 with a loss to Dark Looter Z, it was a close one, 111-112, and then they won over North Watchers last weekend, 111-107. But for me, still at 2-3 in this point in the season, you got to have some crazy competition to justify those records, and I think that right now it's just a sell, but hopefully they can get some wins together and move back to that hold or buy category. North Watchers down to 1-4, and that puts them firmly in the sale category for me. I lost to Reddit Omega in week 4. It was a close one, 109-109. Tie there, but they did get the loss, and then a loss to War and Glory last weekend, 107-111. So sell North Watchers. Reddit Alchemy, man, bankrupt. They are done. Lost to WHF in week 4, 108-112, and then in week 5, they have completely pulled out of the season. No longer in the CWL Invite League, won't be warring. So all they're not even going to be replaced this time. I know they replaced Beast Mode, but too far into the season, everyone that was going to war Reddit Alchemy simply gets a buy and a win, I'm assuming at this point. So unfortunately, they are out and they are completely bankrupt. So obviously, nothing to sell there. Reddit Omega turned into a sell for me, and this one's sort of surprising. I really thought after we warred Reddit Omega in week 1 that these guys were going to just roll over people. And they have had some super strong wars, but the last few weeks just not looking strong at all. I don't know what's happened. Even though they got the win in week 4, it was against North Watchers, and it was only 109-109. It was a tie. They just won on percentage. Then they turned around and took the loss to WHF, who have had their own struggles so far this season, 111-111 last weekend. So a couple of ties in a row, one win for them, one win a loss. But for me right now, I guess I had high expectations for Reddit Omega. They are a sell category. Dark Looter Z, definitely a buy, no question about it. I talked to you guys about it after we lost to them in our war in week 3. Obviously, we shouldn't have lost that much, but they are showing week after week that they are legitimate contenders in this season, getting a war over War and Glory in week 4, 112-111, and a win over Tactical Inc. last weekend, 114-110. So Dark Looter Z, huge buy, very strong clan right now. Speaking of Tactical Ink, they are definitely a sell for me. Get rid of it. 1-4 on the season, 2 losses in a row to the Swarm in week 4, 109, 111, and to Dark Looter Z last weekend, 110, 114. So Tactical Ink really struggling, needs to try to get something together. And finally, WHF. They are a buy for me now. Started off really rough this season, but stringing together 2 wins over the last couple of weeks, moving to 3-2 on the season. Week 4 against Reddit Alchemy, 112-108, and then against Reddit Omega last weekend in that tie barn burner, 111-111. So buy them up. WHF is hot right now. All right, guys, that will do it. Hope you liked the video. Until next time, Jake from OneHive doing my best to help you guys suck less.